Jamil Jivani is many things: an author, a lawyer, a professor, an organizer. He is also now, unfortunately, someone facing a cancer diagnosis. We discussed his new book, Why Young Men, Rage, Race, and the Crisis of Identity. Now we wanted to talk a bit about how he's dealing with that. Hi, Jamil. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
So on the eve of the book being released, you get some news. What happened?
Well, I, for the few months, thought I was just battling a tough flu that wouldn't go away. And I finally went to the ER on Family Day in February to have it looked at and hopefully get some antibiotics prescribed to me. And the doctor sat me down, and after she asked for an x-ray to be done, and she started crying. And seeing a doctor cry is a very tough thing to see, because you're hoping that nothing would be so bad that would cause that. And she said to me, I think you have lymphoma cancer. And, we asked her, like, how is that possible? Just like totally shocked. And she just said, it's bad luck. And, it was a very tough thing to hear and a tough thing to get used to. That couple weeks after getting the news, before the biopsy results revealed that it was, stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, was very tough, because I had no idea what the results were gonna say. And it was also tough getting used to the possibility of like not living as long as I thought I would. Like I think, like, I'm 30 years old. I think a lot of people my age probably don't think much about their health very often, don't think they're gonna get a serious illness. You just kind of assume at some point you'll turn 75, 80, and that's when you have to start, looking after your body more. And I, was just totally unprepared for kind of facing mortality. And I think that was one of the tougher parts of the diagnosis.
What's the brace for?
So the cancer grew into my spine and caused a fracture in my neck and the middle of my back. So I wear this until the cancer goes away and my bones can heal, just to prevent further damage to the spine and avoid paralysis or the fractures getting worse.
In Why Young Men, you tell us a little bit about your growing up, the challenges that you faced. You were once considered to be illiterate.
Yeah.
You went on to Yale University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, a professor at York University, an author by the time that you're 30. Having this diagnosis, there must be a sense of frustration. I know you're scared. I know it sounds weird for me to say I know.
Yeah.
It's a scary time for you. How are you?
Yeah. There have been days where it's been tough not to get really angry, because I worked, as hard as I possibly could throughout my 20s to get to a point where I could write a book that, had some helpful things that I learned along the way, and to live a life that would produce insights that I think could be helpful to other people. So to hit 30 and have this problem, on one hand, makes me very frustrated and upset that I might not get to see all the fruits of the labor that I've put in. But on the other hand, I look at the book and I say, I've overcome a lot of, obstacles. And more than that, I've been privileged to learn from a lot of young people who've also overcome far greater obstacles than I have. And it makes me kind of, very cognizant of the fact that above anything, I think the lesson of my life thus far has been, life is unfair. So, let's get to work and do something about it. And I kind of just tell myself that all the time, like, don't get upset because this hasn't played out the way you wanted it to, or you're having problems you didn't foresee. Just take this as another one of life's challenges and treat it as another thing that needs to be, another fight that needs to be won.
You talked about your father in the book, about him not being in your life. Have
Yeah.
you heard from him since you received the diagnosis?
I have, yeah. So I think we have some mutual friends on Facebook that told him I wasn't doing great, and he reached out, and it wasn't easy to figure out what to do about that, because I kind of had this feeling on one hand of like, I could have been sick at any point in the last 10 years and you wouldn't have known. Do you really care that much? And so I thought maybe I'm not going to respond to him at all. But then I said to myself, it's like, there's probably not a single person in the world that I wouldn't, go 30 seconds out of my way if I could to maybe make them feel better about something. And I couldn't deny that same courtesy to my father. So I, took a couple minutes to write him a response and let him know what's going on, and hope and let him know that the doctors are optimistic I can be cured. And
What's giving you hope?
well, I think in part I've become a lot more. I've become a lot more grounded in faith, and it's something that it was very difficult for me to see the role of faith in my life for most of my life. It was just something I didn't really click with. And I've gotten to, be mentored by people like, Michael, like Pinball Clemens and others that have really shown me how faith can provide some structure in your life that helps you kind of find purpose and meaning when it's most difficult to do so. And that's made me a lot more optimistic, in part because I think it's given me a realistic sense of hope, that hope is not that everything is going to be perfect and work out great. Life does have a lot of suffering and catastrophe in it, and you will go through challenging things, and people you love will go through challenging things. But hope is about kind of seeing those challenges and seeing a path to push through that. And that's what I think my faith is helping me learn in a way that I didn't really grasp at any other point in my life up till now.
It's been a pleasure having you here, Jamil. And your book, what a legacy to have at just 30.
Thank you. Yeah.
And everybody here at TVO is behind you, and we celebrate you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
I
for being here.
appreciate that. Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Bacon is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.